Hi everyone, this is Joy for Honeybee Stamps, and today is the Love Letters blog hop, and I am sharing the first card that I made for Sneak Peek Day 1 using the Waffle Lot stamp and coordinating die. Now I'm starting with the Waffle Lot stamp set. I will be using the coordinating die, also the Radiant Heart stencil, and I'm going to come in and stamp with the Distress Oxide in Antique Linen because I want to do the no line coloring technique. So I'm stamping that onto some Neenah Classic Crest Solar White cardstock. I stamped it twice to get a good image, and I'm going to start at the bottom part of the waffle. Now the color I'm going to start with is the YR24, and as you can see, I'm just coloring inside of the stamped line, actually leaving a little bit of white edge around each one of those squares that I'm coloring with the YR24. That is very important to get the waffle shape and depth and dimension. Now I'm coming in with E37, and just along the right side, kind of the top and the side, I'm adding a little bit of dark shadow. And as you can see here, I'm not adding a ton. This is important because we really want to make the depth and the deep dark holes that hold all of the yummy butter and syrup for our waffle. So I'm going to do that for all of the images, or all of the squares, excuse me. And then I'm going to come in with a little bit of E35, and I'm just going to color halfway. I'm coloring over that E37 that we just did and coming halfway down each one of those squares. So I have a darker side and a lighter side of each one of those squares for the waffle. Now I'm going to come in with this E00, and here I'm going to go over all of those white lines that we've left because we don't want it to have the stark color of white, but we want it to have a lighter toasted look. So the E00 is good for that. Coming back in with the YR24 and blending out each one of those squares one more time. Now we're going to come in with the E00 again, going back over, and you this is a lighter color and it will bleed into your other colors, so don't oversaturate, but you do want a little bit of bleeding because then it kind of gives that irregular look to each of the waffle squares. Now I'm using E59 again on that very top corner where everything is still dark, and I'm coming in with a very light hand with this E59. You don't want it to be overwhelming, but I'm adding some more dimension, and as you can see when I'm putting that down, how that makes each one of those squares pop and really look deep, like they're really dark and toasted. Coming back with that E35, blending that out ever so gently. You just don't want to get rid of all of that dark color, but look at how fun that looks and look at how great that is turning out. Now I'm going to finish that off with a little bit of that E37, adding a little bit darker in those top right corner areas. And then I'm going to come back in one more time, I believe with the YR24, and I'm going to make an edge. I kind of want it to be bumpy. I'm not worried that it's not perfectly round, and because when you have a waffle, it's not perfectly round. So and then I'm going to come in with the E35 on the inside of that line and add a little bit of a darker shadow so the outside looks a little more toasted. Now we want to make the waffle lines at the top, so I'm just coming in with a little ruler, a very light hand with my pencil, and I'm just lining it up with the lines at the bottom. And then when I turn this to the side, I'm just going to have to kind of guesstimate on how far apart these lines are, because now we want to make darker lines up here so it looks like we can see through the syrup. So I am starting with the darkest color, E59, adding it to the top right corners of the squares of waffles. I'm doing it a little bit different than I did it at the bottom. So again, we want this part up here to be darker because it would look darker with the syrup over it. Coming in with the E37, coming down about halfway, like making it look like a triangle. Coloring all of those pieces in, and then what I'm going to do different is come in with the E35, and I'm going to color the whole top of this waffle. So this is where the syrup is going to come into play, and it's going to kind of blend out those other two colors that we've already laid down. Then we're going to come in with the YR24 and just trace across those lines, going vertical and horizontal, and as you can see, it's popping that out. Now I'm using E37 under the edge of the syrup, so it gives it a nice dark shadow and it makes it look 3D. Once again, the YR24 over the lines because I really want those lines to lighten up so they stand out 3D. Now I did This little waffle has a face, so I'm coming in with a black glaze pen and just tracing over the eyes and the mouth. And then I'm coming in with my white gel pen, adding a few little white highlights, because again, I love white highlights on these little critters and images. I think it makes it pop off the page. And look at how cute that is. Now here's the coordinating die. I'm just using some Scotch removable tape to adhere that down. I'm just going to run that through my die cut machine. And I've already colored another one of these off camera. It was actually when I was figuring out how I wanted to make this card, I had already colored it, so we will have two. I'm using the Deckled Edge die A2, the largest one, cutting that from white cardstock. And we're going to be doing a little bit of stenciling on this background. I'm taping that down to my surface, coming in with the Radiant Heart stencil die, and I'm only using the heart. I'm going to be using the Distress Oxide ink in Spun Sugar. This is the lightest color that I'm starting with, and I'm just going to lay down some hearts. I'm just putting them on kind of wonky. I'm inking the outside edges darker, leaving the middle of the hearts lighter and almost untouched in some areas, because I like that look. It almost makes them feel rounded to me. So I'm going to add one more little heart after this towards the bottom. And when you have things go off the edge of your paper, it is more pleasing to the eye. It doesn't look like stuff is just floating in the center of your card. Now I'm coming in with Distress Oxide ink in Picked Raspberry, and I'm just really coloring, stenciling the outside of the heart, leaving the inside lighter, letting it overlap that lighter color, and just placing a few here and there. I did 4 of these darker pink hearts, and I love how this background turned out. I think it is so, so pretty. This is like a perfectly shaped heart stencil. I just love how this background turned out. So I'm going to do one more at the bottom there, just a partial heart, and just blending that in. Now I'm going to do the sentiments on some white cardstock, and it says, "I love you a waffle lot," just in some black ink. And what I love about Honeybee Stamps is that so many of their sentiments have coordinating dies, and I think that is just fantastic. I don't have to trim things out, and so I'm just going to line those up using my Scotch removable tape, and then stick that through my die cut machine, and then we've already got these great little sentiments. And isn't that fantastic? And I love that it's the shape of the whole waffle lot word. I just love that the die cut follows the shape. Now I'm using a smaller Deckled Edge die, and I'm going to cut that out because I felt like I needed some dimension with this card. So we're going to keep the frame and the inside piece. The inside piece will be popped up with foam tape. So I'm going to adhere this frame down to a white A2 size card base. And then for that centerpiece, just using some foam tape to pop it up, just one layer of foam tape. And then that just gives some instant dimension on this card. And then I love that you can see all of the hearts, even though it's cut through on the outside edges. And I just think that looks so pretty. Now let's put this card together. I've got the little waffles there. The back waffle is just going to be adhered directly to the card panel, then foam tape on that first one. And then I'm going to use foam tape for both of the sentiments. I thought that those needed dimension as well. And I'm going to come in with the Tree Hugger wooden hearts from Honeybee Stamps. I just love these hearts. They are so cute. There is 3 or 4 different sizes, and I'm just going to adhere those all around, and I thought that's a perfect color to go with this kind of pink and brown card. So I'm just going to adhere those down, and aren't they so super cute? And then once that's done, this card is completely finished. It's a super cute card from the Love Letters release. Thank you guys so very much for stopping by. I hope that you enjoyed this project, and definitely hop along. And if you like what you've seen, please subscribe to my channel, thumbs up, comment, share. I appreciate that. I do have some affiliate links. They cost you nothing, but it helps me, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.